If you want to know if your manifestation is finally working, you must look for 3 highly unusual biological signs. The modern spiritual industry tells you that you will feel intense joy and excitement when you are about to receive massive wealth. The teacher Neville Goddard understood that the exact opposite is true. The ultimate proof that your brain is actually ready for millions of dollars is that you suddenly feel absolutely nothing. Feeling nothing is not a spiritual failure. It is the highest level of neurological mastery. We will now examine the 3 weird signs that prove your physical brain has completely rewired itself for extreme wealth. The first weird sign is that your desires completely lose their emotional power over you. Every single time you feel an emotion regarding your financial situation, you are signing a biological death sentence for your future wealth. You have been completely brainwashed to believe that you must feel positive emotions to attract money. You have been told that you must feel joy and excitement and intense passion for the reality you wish to create. This is the most destructive psychological lie ever sold to the human race. Emotions are biological tools designed specifically for the working class to help them cope with their permanent state of suffering. The financial elite do not use human emotions to navigate their physical reality. They use a cold and calculated, psychopathic apathy. When you feel extreme excitement about manifesting money, you are screaming to the blind machine of the universe that money is a highly unusual and abnormal event in your personal timeline. Excitement is the biological signature of a starving peasant who has suddenly found a small piece of bread on the ground. A powerful king does not feel excitement when he sits down at his massive royal banquet. The king feels absolutely nothing because the massive banquet is his basic baseline reality. When you allow your primitive nervous system to experience fear or hope or joy regarding your bank account, you are biologically proving to the universe that you do not possess extreme wealth. The universe is a cold, mechanical mirror that only reflects your dominant state of assumption. It will actively punish your emotional reactions by keeping the physical money far away from you. You must systematically murder your financial emotions if you want to command the physical matrix. You must become completely dead inside when you think about millions of dollars. We must now completely destroy the false idol of spiritual gratitude. Millions of desperate people wake up every single morning and write in their gratitude journals. They write long emotional paragraphs, thanking the universe for the tiny amounts of money they currently receive. They attempt to force their physical hearts to feel overwhelming appreciation for their basic survival resources. This forced daily gratitude is a massive biological confession of extreme poverty. Gratitude is the emotional frequency of someone who has received a rare gift they did not expect and perhaps feel they did not truly deserve. When you thank the universe for delivering financial resources, you are placing the universe on a high pedestal and you are placing yourself on your knees. You are acting exactly like a beggar who is endlessly grateful to the wealthy master for dropping a few cheap coins into your hands. The individual who possesses true extreme generational wealth does not wake up and thank the empty sky for their millions of dollars. They treat their massive fortune with the exact same psychopathic apathy that you use to treat the oxygen in the room. You do not wake up and write a long letter of emotional gratitude to the atmosphere for allowing you to breathe today. You simply consume the oxygen with supreme arrogance and absolute biological entitlement. You assume the air will always be present and you never waste your vital electrical energy feeling emotional about it. You must begin to treat the concept of money exactly like oxygen. You must stop thanking the universe for doing its basic mechanical job. When you stop emitting the desperate and weak frequency of gratitude, the blind universe immediately recognizes that you have transitioned from the identity of a beggar to the identity of a sovereign ruler. The teacher Neville Goddard taught that feeling is the secret to commanding the physical world, but his advanced teachings have been violently distorted by modern positive thinking coaches. When Neville Goddard used the word feeling, he was absolutely not talking about human emotion. He was not telling you to feel happy or to feel ecstatic or to feel overwhelming spiritual joy about your future wealth. He was talking about the psychological feeling of absolute certainty. He was describing the heavy and profoundly boring feeling of a cold, accomplished fact. The true state of the wish fulfilled is completely devoid of all human emotion. It is a biological state of flat and dead realization. If you desperately desire a massive luxury estate and you attempt to manifest it by feeling intense excitement, you will instantly fail the manifestation process. Your excitement logically implies that you do not currently own the estate. If you actually owned the massive property, your brain would quickly adapt to the new environment, and you would soon feel completely apathetic toward it. You would walk through the massive halls of your estate with the exact same boring indifference that you use to walk through your current small apartment. You must adopt this dead apathy long before the physical manifestation actually occurs. You must learn to look at your ultimate financial desires and feel absolutely nothing in your physical chest. You must look at the millions of dollars in your imagination and treat them with a profound sense of psychological boredom. This extreme boredom is the true feeling Neville Goddard was describing. It is the solid, concrete foundation of the law of assumption. When you finally stop reacting emotionally to your own desires, you force the quantum field to accept your assumption as a permanent physical fact. To completely master this physical reality, you must study the psychological framework of the specific individuals who dominate the global economy. If you analyze the behavior of highly successful corporate leaders and billionaire investors, you will discover a consistent pattern of what modern psychology labels as psychopathic traits. These powerful individuals possess a terrifying biological ability to completely detach their human emotions from their financial decisions. They do not suffer from the fatal disease of financial empathy. They do not feel sorry for the weak people who lose money in the market, and they absolutely do not feel guilty when they acquire massive amounts of global resources. They operate their empires with a cold and ruthless efficiency that deeply terrifies the average human being. Normal society labels this cold behavior as toxic or evil, because normal society is deeply addicted to the weakness of human emotion. You must completely and violently reject the moral framework of normal society. The financial elite understand that money is not a living spiritual entity that requires your love or your respect. Money is a dead mechanical tool designed to serve the master. You do not feel emotional empathy for a hammer, and you do not feel deep biological guilt when you use a saw to cut a piece of wood. You must adopt this exact same psychopathic apathy toward the concept of global capital. You must systematically strip away all the toxic moral baggage you have attached to the accumulation of wealth. You must view the massive transfer of money into your personal bank account as a cold mathematical certainty. When you permanently eliminate the emotional weight of money, your nervous system becomes incredibly calm, and your manifestation power increases to a lethal level. You literally become an apex predator in a physical world composed entirely of emotional prey. You must immediately abandon the desperate internal hope that the universe will eventually reward you for being a good person. The most dangerous psychological illusion you currently carry is the belief that your moral purity directly dictates your financial success. You have spent your entire physical life trying to be kind and generous and spiritually awakened in the secret, pathetic hope that the universe will recognize your intense effort and finally grant you extreme wealth. You must look closely at the physical evidence around you and realize that your belief system is completely broken. The universe is a profoundly amoral machine. It does not possess a system of human ethics, and it absolutely does not judge your personal character. The universe does not punish evil people, and it does not reward good people. The blind machine only obeys the cold and mechanical law of assumption. It only responds to the specific individual who holds the highest level of dictatorial authority over their own internal state. There are millions of incredibly kind and highly spiritual people who will die in absolute agonizing poverty simply because they refuse to claim their biological authority. They are waiting patiently for a moral reward that mathematically will never arrive. You must permanently stop trying to earn your wealth through good spiritual behavior. You must adopt the psychopathic apathy of the financial elite and simply demand the massive resources. You demand the resources not by shouting at the sky, but by anchoring your consciousness in the cold and boring reality of extreme wealth. You must stop caring if you actually deserve the money. The concept of deserving is a weak concept designed to control peasants. A true king never asks anyone if he deserves the heavy crown. He simply wears the crown and expects the entire physical kingdom to bow to his silent command. You must stop negotiating with your own human morality, and you must immediately become the cold psychopathic architect of your own physical empire. The second weird sign that your brain is actually ready for millions is a complete biological numbness to your current physical reality. To physically implement this numbness into your daily life, you must master a specific biological response that we will call the dead eyes technique. Your physical face and your physiological reactions are directly connected to your subconscious assumptions. When you open a financial bill or look at an empty bank account, your primitive nervous system instinctively signals your facial muscles to express fear. Your eyes widen to scan for danger, and your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. This physical reaction is a biological command to the quantum field, confirming that you are currently experiencing extreme poverty. You must completely sever this neurological connection through sheer dictatorial force. You must train yourself to look at the three-dimensional evidence of your financial lack with completely dead eyes. When a large, unexpected expense arrives, you must force your facial muscles to remain completely entirely relaxed. You must consciously slow your breathing and drop your shoulders. You look directly at the negative financial number, and you project absolute biological emptiness. You refuse to give the dead piece of paper any of your vital electrical energy. You treat the negative bank balance with the exact same dead stare that you would give to a blank wall. You must convince your primitive brain that the lack of money is incredibly boring and completely unworthy of an adrenaline response. Over time, this dead eyes technique will physically rewire your nervous system to stop producing cortisol in response to money. You will literally become biologically immune to the illusion of poverty. As you master this internal biological immunity, you must simultaneously disconnect your consciousness from the collective panic of the human herd. You currently exist in a physical environment filled with billions of biological machines that are strictly programmed for financial terror. The human herd is obsessed with the concept of lack. They constantly consume negative news about the failing economy and the rising inflation and the impending collapse of the global market. They share this terrifying information with each other like a highly contagious biological virus. When you adopt the psychopathic apathy of extreme wealth, you must completely isolate your mind from this collective human disease. You must begin to view the panic of the human herd as if you are watching a nature documentary about a primitive and inferior species. When your co-workers complain about the high cost of living, you do not join their conversation, and you absolutely do not offer them your emotional sympathy. You simply observe their biological panic with a cold and clinical detachment. You realize that their economic reality has absolutely nothing to do with your personal universe. They are trapped in the dense and chaotic three-dimensional matrix because they allow their emotions to dictate their assumptions. You are the sovereign ruler of a parallel dimension where resources are infinite and completely guaranteed. You must allow the human herd to panic while you sit in the absolute silence of your own massive financial empire. Your apathy is your ultimate psychological shield against their highly infectious poverty. If your human morality is fighting against this coldness right now, it means your primitive brain is desperately trying to keep you poor. Your nervous system is deeply addicted to the feeling of financial empathy, and it will try to convince you that this psychopathic apathy is evil or wrong. You are currently experiencing a biological rebellion from your own limiting beliefs. You must forcefully shut down this rebellion before it completely destroys your new neural architecture. I have created a specific emotional kill switch protocol designed to permanently delete your financial guilt and sever your emotional connection to the poverty of others. Scroll down to the pinned comment below this video right now. Read the exact text of the emotional kill switch and execute the mental command. This specific action will serve as a permanent neurological override for your biological empathy. Do not attempt to continue listening to this audio until you have engaged the protocol. If you skip this crucial step, your primitive brain will simply reject the rest of this advanced programming, and you will remain permanently trapped in the emotional prison of the working class. Execute the kill switch and return to this exact moment. Now that you have neutralized your biological guilt, we must completely destroy the concept of hope. The modern spiritual community loves to talk about the power of hope. They tell you to hold on to hope when your financial situation is terrible. They tell you to hope for a better future and to hope that the universe will eventually save you. You must understand that hope is a terminal disease of the mind. Hope is the ultimate psychological trap designed exclusively for the slave class. A slave hopes that the master will give them an extra piece of bread. A slave hopes that tomorrow will be less painful than today. A sovereign king does not hope for anything, because the king already owns the entire kingdom. When you feel hope regarding your financial manifestation, you are biologically proving to your subconscious mind that you do not currently possess the wealth. You are confirming that the millions of dollars are separate from you and existing somewhere in a distant, imaginary future. The universe does not respond to your hope. The universe only responds to the heavy and cold certainty of the present moment. You must permanently execute the concept of hope from your psychological vocabulary. You do not hope that the money will arrive. You biologically expect the money to arrive because the legal universal contract has already been signed. A multi-generational billionaire heir does not sit in their luxury estate hoping that their trust fund will continue to exist. They operate with a cold and psychopathic certainty that the money is an immovable structural component of their physical reality. You must replace your desperate hope with this exact same arrogant expectation. To solidify this arrogant expectation, you must cultivate a profound biological indifference to the physical process of manifestation. The human brain is naturally obsessed with the concept of how. When you desire extreme wealth, your primitive logical mind immediately attempts to calculate exactly how the money will arrive. You try to figure out which specific business will succeed or which specific person will hand you the massive check. You attempt to build a logical bridge between your current poverty and your future wealth. This obsession with the process is a fatal neurological error. When you try to figure out how the universe will deliver the millions, you are insulting the infinite intelligence of the quantum machine. You are attempting to do the highly complex job of the universe using the primitive and limited computing power of a human brain. By trying to dictate the exact physical method of delivery, you are actually restricting the infinite pathways of the universe down to one single fragile possibility. You must absolutely stop caring about the delivery method. The psychopathic apathy of extreme wealth requires you to become completely indifferent to the actions of the three-dimensional world. You must adopt the mentality of a ruthless military dictator who has just ordered the construction of a massive palace. The dictator simply points to the empty land and commands the architecture to be built. The dictator does not go down into the mud to dig the foundation. The dictator does not care how the heavy stones are transported, and the dictator absolutely does not ask the workers how they plan to solve the logistical problems. The dictator only cares about the final completed result. The quantum field operates as your personal invisible army of workers. It possesses infinite pathways and unseen connections that can collapse space and time to bring you exactly what you commanded. Your only responsibility is to point to the final result of extreme wealth and absolutely refuse to change your command. If the three-dimensional world temporarily appears chaotic, or if the money seems to be delayed, you do not panic and you do not intervene. You simply watch the chaos with your dead eyes and maintain your position on the throne. You treat the universe like a blind mechanical servant who is currently doing the dirty work behind the scenes. Your profound indifference to the process is the ultimate proof that you completely trust your own dictatorial authority. When you stop micromanaging the dead matter of the physical world, the universe is mathematically forced to accelerate the delivery of your millions. The third and final weird sign that your brain is ready for millions is the permanent death of your manifestation routines. We must now enter this ultimate phase of your psychological domination, which the teacher Neville Goddard referred to as the neurological Sabbath. The modern spiritual community has completely corrupted the true meaning of the Sabbath. They mistakenly believe that the Sabbath is a day of physical rest or a dedicated time for emotional self-care. This is a pathetic misinterpretation of a highly advanced biological concept. The true Sabbath has absolutely nothing to do with taking a break from your physical job or resting your physical body. The true Sabbath is a permanent neurological state of absolute mental deadness regarding your specific financial desire. It is the exact moment when your brain permanently solidifies the new neural pathway of extreme wealth and completely shuts off the conscious effort required to build it. When you first discover the advanced mechanics of the law of assumption, you must use a massive amount of conscious electrical energy to force your primitive brain out of its natural poverty state. You must actively override your biological cortisol response and you must manually redirect your thoughts toward the cold assumption of wealth. This conscious dictatorial effort is highly exhausting, but it is a strictly temporary phase of the biological hack. You cannot spend the rest of your physical life manually forcing your brain to feel wealthy. If you are still performing aggressive manifestation techniques every single day, you are continually proving to your subconscious mind that the new neural pathway is weak and incomplete. The true Sabbath is the total and permanent cessation of all spiritual effort. When a multi-generational billionaire heir wakes up in the morning, they do not sit on the edge of their luxury bed and forcefully visualize their massive bank account. They do not write down daily affirmations in a desperate journal to convince themselves that they have money. They do not force their human hearts to feel intense gratitude for their financial empire. They simply wake up and exist in a state of profound biological silence. Their brain has already permanently encoded the reality of extreme wealth into their deepest neurological structure. It requires absolutely zero electrical effort for them to be incredibly rich. This is the exact state of psychopathic laziness you must successfully achieve. You must reach a point of such heavy and absolute neurological certainty that the desire to manifest the money completely evaporates from your conscious awareness. You literally cannot force yourself to care about the manifestation process anymore. The topic of extreme wealth becomes incredibly boring to you because your brain recognizes it as a completely solved equation. You must stop acting like a desperate spiritual worker trying to build a tiny house of wealth, and you must become the lazy sovereign aristocrat who simply lives inside the finished massive mansion. When you successfully enter the true neurological Sabbath, you will automatically drop all of your daily manifestation routines. You will instantly stop watching desperate videos about how to attract money fast, because a supreme ruler who holds the ultimate trust fund does not need advice on how to acquire capital. You will simply exist in the heavy and psychopathic silence of the universal air. The internal biological war is officially over, and your new nervous system has won the absolute victory. This total biological detachment is not just a psychological trick. It is the fundamental requirement for commanding the quantum mechanics of the physical universe. Quantum physics proves that the conscious observer directly affects the observed reality. When you observe your physical reality with intense emotional anxiety or desperate hope, you are literally freezing the quantum particles into the dense state of poverty. Your emotional friction prevents the matter from moving. When you finally adopt the psychopathic apathy of extreme wealth, you completely withdraw your emotional observation from the physical matrix. You remove all of the biological friction from the system. When the blind machine of the universe perceives that there is absolutely zero emotional resistance holding the poverty in place, it is mathematically forced to collapse the wave function of your reality and reorganize the physical matter. The matter reorganizes itself to perfectly match the cold and heavy certainty of your new neurological baseline. This means the universe will begin to bend its own physical rules to deliver your massive resources. But this massive delivery system brings us to the ultimate biological test of your new identity. When the blind machine of the universe finally completes the massive wealth transfer, you will witness an incredible influx of physical money entering your life. You will see the millions of dollars appear in your actual physical bank account. You will hold the physical legal contracts, proving your absolute ownership of massive assets. This is the exact moment when the vast majority of people fail the final biological test. When the money arrives, the primitive human brain instinctively wants to release a massive flood of dopamine and adrenaline. The human brain wants to celebrate the victory. It wants to jump up and down and scream with intense emotional joy. If you allow your physical body to experience this extreme celebration, you immediately fail the final test. Celebration is the ultimate biological signature of a peasant who accidentally won a lottery they never truly expected to win. A powerful psychopathic king is never surprised and never celebrates when his loyal servants deliver his basic daily taxes. The king simply expects the taxes to arrive. If you react to your massive wealth with extreme joy, you are instantly downgrading your biological frequency back to the identity of the worker. You are proving to the universe that the millions of dollars are a shocking anomaly instead of a boring baseline reality. You must pass this final test by maintaining your psychopathic apathy. When you open your banking application and see the millions of dollars physically resting in your account, you must look at the digital numbers with completely dead eyes. You must manually force your heart rate to remain completely steady and slow. You must consciously command your facial muscles to remain entirely relaxed and completely devoid of any human emotion. You receive these massive financial resources with the cold mechanical indifference of someone who is simply collecting what is legally theirs by universal right. You might offer a slow and almost imperceptible nod of acknowledgement, but you offer absolutely nothing else. You must look at the immense fortune rapidly entering your life, and you must view it as a highly boring structural component of your normal physical reality. You are not lucky, and you are absolutely not specially blessed by some external deity. You simply hacked the biological code of the human animal, and you forced the blind mechanical machine of the universe to obey your dictatorial command. When the universe observes your dead and apathetic reaction to the millions of dollars, it instantly realizes that it cannot manipulate your emotions with physical matter. The universe submits completely to your absolute authority, and it locks the state of extreme wealth into your permanent timeline. This absolute submission of the physical world is perfectly mirrored by the absolute submission of your own primitive brain. For your entire physical existence, your logical mind has constantly harassed you with anxious thoughts about your financial survival. Your brain has bombarded you with terrifying mental scenarios and desperate calculations. But as you continuously refuse to validate these anxious thoughts with any emotional response, your brain will eventually realize that its biological strategy has completely failed. The human brain is a highly efficient machine that refuses to waste physical energy on actions that do not produce a result. When your brain sees that sending you financial panic no longer triggers a cortisol response, it will systematically dismantle the neural pathways responsible for that panic. The internal dialogue of fear and lack will completely die of absolute starvation. You will suddenly notice that your mind has become completely silent. The paranoid voice of the traumatized worker has been permanently deleted from your biological hardware. You will walk through the physical world enveloped in a terrifying and beautiful psychological silence. This heavy silence is the ultimate crown of the sovereign ruler. The era of begging the universe for small emotional favors is permanently dead. You have successfully murdered the desperate spiritual patient that lived inside your nervous system, and you have resurrected the true psychopathic architect of your infinite consciousness. You now completely understand that human emotion is a massive biological trap designed to keep the slave class firmly attached to their poverty. You will never again trade your vital electrical life force for the weak and pathetic feeling of hope. You will never again allow your primitive nervous system to experience the toxic disease of financial gratitude. You have finally assumed the ultimate throne of apathy. The infinite subconscious mind has already prepared the entire vast financial kingdom for your permanent arrival, and you have finally accepted the heavy keys to the vault with completely dead eyes. The universal testament is officially executed, and the extreme inheritance is permanently yours. You must now seal this cold psychopathic reality into the dense physical dimension by performing one final act of total psychological dominance. This specific physical action is absolutely not a desperate plea to the universe, and it is not a weak expression of human gratitude. It is a direct written dictatorial command to solidify your new biological baseline in the material world. Scroll down to the comment section of this video right now. You will not write a long emotional paragraph about your spiritual journey. You will not explain your previous financial difficulties to the other people in the comments. You will type exactly 4 specific words to confirm your new supreme status and to permanently lock the dead neural pathway into place. Type the exact phrase, "I feel nothing," and "I command millions." Do not add any other words or emotional expressions or weak spiritual symbols. By typing this cold dictatorial command, you are driving a permanent neurological stake into the dense ground of the physical world. You are publicly declaring to the blind machine of the universe that your brain is entirely bored by wealth, and you are physically ready to receive the millions.